Good morning, everybody. Our first guest today had an instant bestseller. This is her debut novel. It is called Luckiest Girl Alive, and it's even going to be made into a movie.
Yeah, there's a moment in the book where the author, Jessica Knoll, describes in detail a sexual assault, and her words seem so real that readers wonder if it actually happened to her. She denied it until a few weeks ago. Welcome to the Morning Blend. It's Jessica. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Great to meet you. Thank you so much for being here.
So just a few weeks ago, in fact, March 29th, which was just a couple weeks ago, you finally came out and said, hey, all this time, the readers have been wondering, how were you able to account such a graphic, horrific scene in your book? And you were finally able to say, because I experienced it.
Yes, that's true. I wrote an essay for Lenny Letter's, Lena Dunham's website, saying that, you know, I'm getting ready to go on the book tour for the paperback, and I knew I was going to be faced with these questions, and I wanted to put the message out there to the readers that I was a survivor too, and that, you know, this was a conversation I was ready to have.
It took a long time because it happened to you when you were just 15 years old. Is that right?
That's
so you were
right.
in high school. How old are you now, if you don't mind
I'm
my
32.
asking? 32. So something like 7 years,
17.
20, yeah. I had to do the math really quick. 17 years later. It's a long time. What made you feel like you were finally ready? Was it all the questions about the book?
It was, and I would hear from a lot of women who would come to me and reference my dedication, which says to all the Tiffany Finellis of the world, I know, and they would say, thank you for knowing, and they understood what I meant by that. And I would hear from a lot of women who would want to share their own experience, but when I would shut down about mine, they shut down too, and that wasn't a very good feeling for me. I didn't want to make anyone feel like they were ashamed or that they couldn't talk about this, and so I felt I needed to lead by example and be the one to talk about it myself.
It's very fresh, though, you know, that you're able to kind of speak about this out loud and talk about it. And I wonder if, because the essay that you wrote talked a lot about the fact that, you know, people didn't call it rape. They didn't say those words, and it took a long time through therapy for you to recognize it, even that you didn't have a fault in it. To this day, do you believe now, finally, hopefully, that you had no fault in this incident in your own life?
Oh, I know 100% I have no fault in it. I mean, but that was kind of the other component of this, was that I wrote that scene and so many people called it rape and called it gang rape, and I just realized it's a different world we're living in, because 17 years ago that was not how people referred to it, and it made me feel like if I were to come out with this information that I would be supported, because it seems people are much more educated about issues like consent.
You weren't supported when you were 15 years old in school. In fact, people blamed you. They called you names. They referred to you as a slut, things like that, that people nowadays know better.
Yes.
And so when you talk to especially young girls and the pressures that they face, and young girls write you, what do you hear from people and what do you want them to know?
Well, mostly I wrote the essay because I did feel so alone when I was 15, and if I had read something like that, I would have been really heartened by it, to know that, you know, someone else had been through something like this and gotten through it, and that she was okay, and she had made something of herself, and she was happy and successful. And so it was really I just thought that if any young girl could read that, and if she felt targeted or bullied or alone, to know, to, you know, hold on, to have strength, that she'll get through it, because I did too.
And certainly you have become a success. You're married now too. I know this is your debut novel. Just one quick last question about what happened to you. There were actually three boys involved in it. Did any of them ever were any of them ever charged? Because two of them actually died, right? One before, during high school?
No. So
two of the guys who supported you.
There were two boys I went to high school with who did support me.
You.
And they passed away. And they were magnificent young men and gone way too soon. But no, the three boys, none of them ever faced any consequences, which is so common. 97% of rapists never face a day in jail or a single consequence for what they've done. So
did they apologize?
No.
And that's something you get into too, is that you actually apologized to one of them, because you kind of confronted him at one point, then felt bad about that. I think that's very much a teenage thing, and wanting to fit in and wanting people to like you.
Yes, I did confront one of them, and I called him a rapist, and the next morning I woke up and felt that I would have a kind of bigger bullseye on me for doing that. And I backtracked, and it's something that really haunts me every day of my life.
Good
I think
for
it's
sharing.
Yeah, very strong of you to finally come out and share this story of yours and really relate, because I know you said at one point you felt like you let your readers down. Well, it's very clear that you haven't let anyone down, that you truly are, you know, an epitome of strength. So I think that's really fantastic. Reese Witherspoon loved your book. She optioned it for a movie. Talk a little bit about this process, what it was like, the excitement, and when this might be something we can see.
Well, so Reese Witherspoon and her producing partner, Bruna Papandrea, you know, read the book early before it came out, and they had started this production company, Pacific Standard, with the goal in mind of developing projects where it's a female-driven story, and that the character is not kind of your plucky heroine or just spunky sidekick. Like, they have real layers and meat to the character. So they had produced Wild, and they produced Gone Girl, and so I'm very honored to be in you know, that company. So they're the producers, and then Lionsgate signed on as the studio, and I adapted the screenplay. So I finished the script over the fall, and you know, we're just, next step is looking for a director. So
that is so cool.
Yeah,
It's your first novel.
I know. That's incredible.
amazing.
It's fantastic. And in writing the screenplay, obviously, my guess is you're going to keep it closer to the book than some screenplays.
Yeah.
That's a common complaint of authors. But it did allow you to have a lot of control over the material and how it would turn out.
It did, but I do think that one skill that you need to have if you're going to be an author who wants to adapt her work is to not be too precious about it, because there are, you know, it's a different medium. So yes, you want to keep the kind of core DNA of the story and the characters intact, but I think that you should allow yourself to have some freedom in how you tell this story. Again, it's really a reimagining. So there are scenes in the script that are not in the book. There are characters in the script that are not in the book, and I had a lot of fun playing around with that. But at the end of the day, yes, I got to keep control, and most important to me was my character Ani, in that she wasn't softened in any way, because she's not a soft woman. You know, she has edges and she has thorns, and that's why I love her so much. So I wanted to, you know,
be true to her.
Be true
Who do
to
you
her.
see playing her?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm just...
In your ideal world, do you have someone picked out?
I don't, because I'm just so grateful that this is happening, and I just trust everyone involved that they will make the best decision, and it will be the right choice.
It's great. I mean, it gets into so many different issues, not just rape, but bullying and peer pressure and the dynamics of women's relationships. And it's wonderful that you get to explore those things with this, and even the conversation on social media and the norms and what's expected of women and those kinds of things. What's next for you, really quickly, in terms of other books or maybe even other movies?
I'm working on a second book, and the goal is to have it come published in spring 2017, so about a year from now. And I'm writing another screenplay. I'm adapting a novel called All Is Not Forgotten by Wendy Walker. It comes out this summer, so everyone go out and read it, because it's a fantastic book. And so I'll be, you know, I'm going to be kind of doing these dual careers as screenwriter and novelist.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Really
Yeah.
good for you. Yeah, it's awesome. I know you had a book signing last night. It was really successful here in town. We appreciate you stopping by the Morning Blend, because I know you have to catch a flight on your way out of town later today. People can find out more. It's now in paperback, Luckiest Girl Alive. You can go to jessicaknoll.com to find out more and to stay on top of everything you're doing and exciting. Do we know when the movie will come out of this
No.
book?
Oh, I'm dying to know.
So you need a director.
Yeah.
So there's still work to be done. Great to meet you.
Great to meet you, too.
Thanks for being
so
here.
much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.